The light beneath the sand. 4,000 years ago. The desert was not silent that night. It breathed. A warm wind rolled across the dunes like the exhale of a sleeping giant, lifting streams of golden sand into the air. A crescent moon hung over the horizon, thin, sharp, almost watchful, as if the sky itself understood what was about to be lost forever. High on a sandstone plateau, torches flickered in a wide circle. Shadows of hooded figures stretched across the cliff like long, thin arms reaching toward something forbidden. There were 12 of them, the 12, keepers of the first light. At the center of the circle lay an object wrapped in linen and clay seals. It pulsed softly, pushing faint lines of gold through the fabric like veins beneath skin. The artifact was alive. And dying. "It weakens," whispered Elder Maruk, the oldest among them, his face drawn and cracked like the desert itself. "If the chamber collapses before sunrise, all will fall." Opposite him, the woman known as Kalia, the guardian of the light, stepped forward. Her bronze arm rings clinked lightly as she knelt by the pulsing object. "It knows," she said, her voice low. "It senses the end. The light is afraid." "No," Maruk whispered. "Not afraid, remembering." He turned to face the great stone archway carved into the cliff behind them. Intricate glyphs told a story older than any kingdom still standing, the story of the first gift, the light that fell from the sky and offered knowledge beyond centuries. The 12 had protected it for generations. Until now. A deep rumble shook the ground. The plateau trembled. Sand trickled from the archway like blood from a wound. Kalia's eyes widened. The chamber. Below them, the ground split. A jagged crack ripped through the rock, glowing with the same golden light as the artifact. Heat burst upward like the desert itself had caught fire. "We have no time," Maruk said. "It must be sealed." A younger guardian, barely 20 summers old, shook his head fiercely. "We can save it. The light is our gift." "The light," Maruk interrupted, "is a burden, and its price is always life." Another violent tremor struck, throwing 2 guardians to the ground. The artifact cried out. Not in sound, but in light. A blinding surge tore through the wrappings, shooting straight into the sky. The night exploded in white gold brilliance, turning shadows into silhouettes carved from fire. Then, just as quickly, darkness swallowed the world again. Silence fell. Kalia blinked away tears from the flash. "Maruk, it's calling out. It wants a keeper. It needs to remain buried," Maruk said. "No kingdom, no empire, no man or woman can carry its cost. We protect the world from the light, not the light from the world." He raised his staff. The others did the same. Together they began the sealing chant, their voices rising and falling like waves in a storm. The ground glowed brighter. The archway shook violently. Sand poured downward as if the plateau were drowning. The artifact pulsed one final time, slow, mournful, resigned. Then everything collapsed. The plateau tore apart. A pillar of stone toppled. A thunderous roar echoed across the desert, and in a single instant the entire chamber fell into the earth, swallowed by the dunes and sealed away by the shifting sands of time. The light vanished. The 12 vanished. Their story faded into myth. Then into whispers. Then into nothing at all. For 4,000 years. Until today. The present. New Mexico desert. Dr. Elara Voss wiped a smear of red dust from her cheek as the whir of the excavation drone passed overhead. The sun glared down like a molten coin, baking the sand and sending waves of heat shimmering through the air. Her boots crunched against the cracked earth as she stepped over a half-unburied slab of sandstone. The team had been working for 3 weeks at the remote dig site, far from towns, roads, or even gravel tracks. It was nothing but desert in every direction, stretching out like a vast, sunburned ocean. Exactly the kind of place where civilizations hid their secrets. "Dr. Voss." A voice called from across the dig site. Miguel, one of her researchers, sprinted toward her, nearly tripping over a stray toolbox. "You need to see this." Elara's pulse quickened. Miguel wasn't easily shaken. If he looked rattled, something was wrong. "What is it?" she asked. He pointed to a cluster of tents near the eastern edge of the dig. "It's Mercer. He came back early, And he's not alone. Elara frowned. Dr. Ian Mercer, her mentor, her father figure, the man who had raised her in academia after her parents died, was supposed to be giving a conference lecture in D.C. But if he'd returned and brought someone, it usually meant one thing. A discovery had changed everything. Elara followed Miguel, her steps quickening, her mind racing. She reached the main tent, pushed aside the flap, and froze. Inside stood Mercer, lean, silver-haired, sharp-eyed. He always carried himself like a man who knew something no one else did. Next to him stood a stranger. Tall, dark suit, no badge, no smile. The kind of man who didn't belong at archaeological digs. "Elara," Mercer said, his voice warm but strained, "I believe we may have found something extraordinary." The stranger watched her closely. Too closely. "What kind of extraordinary?" she asked. Mercer hesitated. That alone scared her. He finally spoke. "The kind of extraordinary we're not supposed to find." The object lay on a work table, brushes, light tools, and scanning devices scattered around it. But the object itself was simple, a cracked stone tablet, roughly the size of Elara's torso. Its surface was etched with symbols she had never seen before. Not Mayan. Not Sumerian. Not anything she had studied. Lines radiated from a central emblem, almost like beams of light. Her chest tightened. "Where did this come from?" Mercer nodded toward the stranger. "Mr. Hale found it." The man in the suit offered a polite but empty smile. "A collector I represent came across it. He believed your expertise might be useful." Elara narrowed her eyes. Collectors didn't bring artifacts to archaeologists. Collectors stole artifacts from archaeologists. She exchanged a look with Mercer. He subtly shook his head, meaning not here, not now. "All right," she said slowly. "Let's see what we're dealing with." She leaned over the tablet, tracing a finger near, not on, the central emblem. Her breath caught. There was something beneath the stone. Not physically, energetically. "Do you feel that?" she whispered. Mercer nodded gravely. A slight vibration. Almost electrical. Mr. Hale's expression didn't change. "We think it's a map." Elara raised an eyebrow. "Of what?" "That," Hale said, "is what we hope you'll tell us." Mercer cleared his throat and handed her a satellite tablet. "Elara, look at the pattern." She scanned the symbols. Her eyes widened. The central emblem wasn't a sun. It wasn't a star. It was an iris. A pupil with radiating lines. A light source. And not a natural one. "I've seen something like this," she murmured. "A fragment in the Egyptian archives. They called it." She froze. After so many years, she hadn't said the name aloud. Not since her parents died. Mercer finished for her. "The light of the first sky." Mr. Hale tilted his head. "You know the legend." Elara swallowed. "Everyone who studies ancient metaphysics knows it. A myth. A story. The tale of an ancient energy source that, supposedly, held the knowledge of the world." "A fairy tale," Mercer added quickly, shooting her a warning glance. But Hale smiled. "Fairy tales," he said, "always start with truth." Elara felt a chill creep up her spine. "Why bring this to us?" she asked. "Why not take it to a museum?" Hale's expression hardened. "Because museums don't have what we need." "What do you need?" "You," he said simply. Before she could respond, the tablet under her hand pulsed. Once. Softly. Like a heartbeat. The tent lights flickered. Elara stepped back. "What the hell was that?" Mercer paled. "It responded to touch." That shouldn't be possible." Hale's eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction. "We believe someone like you can unlock it." "Unlock what?" "The location," Hale said, "of whatever lies beneath the sands." Another pulse. This time stronger. The overhead lights popped. The drone outside crashed. A shockwave of silent pressure rolled through the tent, sending paper fluttering and knocking over tools. The artifact's central emblem glowed faintly. Not gold. Not white. Something in between. A color she couldn't name. "Elara," Mercer whispered, stepping closer. "Don't." Too late. She touched it. The world exploded. The vision. Sand. Wind. Fire. A woman, bronze arm rings flashing, running across a collapsing plateau. A golden crack ripping open the earth. 12 hooded figures chanting. Light screaming. A voice. "Remember us." Elara gasped and staggered back, her vision spinning. Mercer caught her. "Elara, what did you see?" She struggled to breathe. "The past," she whispered. "I saw the past." Hale's voice cut through the haze. "Describe it." But Elara barely heard him. Something else was calling her. The artifact pulsed again, but only for her. Its glow mirrored the rhythm of her heartbeat. "Elara," Mercer said urgently. "Talk to me. What did you see?" She grabbed the table to steady herself. "I saw guardians. A collapse. A ceiling. Something ancient, buried. Something powerful." Hale stepped closer. "Can you locate it?" "I don't know." "But you saw it," he insisted. "Which means you can." His intensity made her uneasy. Too eager. Too invested. "Elara, step outside with me," Mercer said sharply. She nodded, grateful. They exited the tent. The heat hit them like a blast furnace. "Elara," Mercer said urgently, "listen to me carefully. That man, Hale, he's not with any collector. He's government. Or worse." She wiped sweat from her forehead. "I know. Whatever he's here for, it isn't archaeology." She nodded again. She knew exactly what Hale wanted. The light. And whatever it could do. "Elara," Mercer hesitated. "This is connected to your parents." She froze. "What?" Mercer's face twisted with guilt. "I didn't want to tell you like this. But your mother's final research, before the accident, was on a civilization rumored to have created an ancient energy source." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want you chasing ghosts." Elara's heartbeat quickened. "And yet here we are." A gust of wind lifted a swirl of sand between them. "Elara," Mercer said quietly, "nothing good ever comes from the light. Your parents learned that." "What do you mean learned?" "Dr. Voss." Miguel sprinted toward them, terrified. "It's Hale, he's—" A gunshot cracked through the air. Miguel fell. Elara screamed. Mercer pulled her back. "Run!" More shots. Sand exploded around them as bullets tore into the ground. Hale's voice echoed behind them, cold and unwavering. "Bring me the girl." Elara ran. Heart pounding. Mind racing. Hands shaking. The light pulsed inside her head, images flickering behind her eyes. The plateau. The guardians. The collapse. Mercer grabbed her arm. "This way." They sprinted past equipment crates toward the eastern ridge, but 2 armed men emerged from behind a dune. Mercer shoved her aside. "Go. Not without you. Elara, go." She stumbled backward just as one of the men raised his gun. Mercer tackled him. The gun fired. Blood sprayed the sand. "No." Elara screamed. Mercer collapsed. "Elara," he coughed. "The light. It chose you. Find the truth." His eyes dimmed. He went still. Her world shattered. "Elara Voss." Hale shouted. "Last chance." Her grief turned to fire. She ran. Sand kicked up behind her as bullets whizzed past. She slid behind a crumbling rock formation, chest heaving, vision blurred with tears. The artifact's voice echoed in her mind. "Find us. Find the light. Find the price." She clenched her fists, wiped her face, and whispered, "I will." A helicopter thundered overhead, Hale's backup arriving. Elara looked at the horizon. Then at Mercer's body. Then at the glowing symbols burned into her memory. She didn't have a choice anymore. The desert had awakened. The past had returned. And she was now the keeper of the light. She sprinted into the dunes, vanishing into the storm of sand and sun, while Hale shouted orders behind her. The hunt had begun. The light had chosen. And its price had only just begun to be paid. Darkness. Then, sound. A low hum. A pulse, steady and mechanical, echoing like a heartbeat trapped in metal. Elara's eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she didn't know where, or who, she was. Everything was white and humming and wrong. Fluorescent light burned above her. Her wrists, restrained. Cold metal cuffs bit into her skin. Panic surged. She struggled, but her arms wouldn't move more than a few inches. Machines surrounded her bed, sleek, curved, and silent, with panels of blue light sliding across their surfaces. Tubes ran from her forearm to a translucent reservoir filled with faintly glowing liquid. The light. No, something that felt like it. Elara Voss, a voice said. Male. Calm. Measured. Too calm. She turned her head. Hale stood in the doorway. The same immaculate suit. The same faint, empty smile. Behind him, 2 guards in matte black tactical armor. Good morning, Hale said. You've been asleep for 18 hours. You're in a secure medical wing. You're safe. Safe. Elara hissed. You killed Mercer. He didn't flinch. Dr. Mercer was unfortunate collateral. You have to understand, Doctor, what you touched in the desert wasn't an artifact. It was a trigger. It woke something buried for millennia. Her pulse spiked. Where am I? Hale stepped closer. The air around him smelled faintly of ozone and antiseptic. Eternum facility. You might call it a research station. Off-grid, privately funded. You've been brought here for observation. Observation. You interacted with the artifact in a way we haven't seen before. The light responded to you. It imprinted on you. We need to understand why. Elara laughed, a sharp, broken sound. You're experimenting on me. He tilted his head slightly, as though correcting a child. We're studying history. You're part of it now. She yanked at her restraints again. Let me go. You'll be released, Hale said smoothly, when you stop being dangerous. He turned to leave. Dangerous, she shouted. You don't even know what it is you're playing with. He paused at the doorway. On the contrary, he said softly. We know exactly what it is. We've been looking for it for 70 years. The door slid shut with a hiss. The hum deepened, and Elara was alone again. She didn't know how long she lay there. Minutes, hours. The lights never changed. There was no clock, no window, no sound but the pulse of the machines. Her thoughts drifted, looping through flashes of the desert, Mercer's blood, the glow under the sand, the voices whispering in her mind. Find us. She shut her eyes, forcing the memory away. Then, faintly, she heard something new. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Coming closer. The door slid open again, but it wasn't Hale. A woman entered. Mid-30s, dark hair pulled into a knot, wearing a gray lab coat and an expression that flickered between curiosity and pity. Elara Voss? She asked quietly. Elara said nothing. The woman sighed. I'm Dr. Nira Kale. I'm the head of biosymmetry studies here. She hesitated. I'm not your enemy. Elara stared at her. Then unlock me. Nira's eyes darted toward the cameras in the corners of the ceiling. I can't. They monitor everything. Elara followed her gaze. Tiny red lights blinked, watching, listening. Then why are you here? Elara asked. I wanted to see the woman who survived contact. Contact. Nira moved closer, glancing nervously toward the glass observation wall that stretched along one side of the room. You shouldn't have touched it, she whispered. We lost 2 men who tried before you. Their neural patterns collapsed. The light fried their cognition. Elara's breath hitched. And me. You didn't collapse, Nira said. You adapted. Your brainwaves shifted to match the artifact's frequency. It shouldn't be possible. So you're saying it changed me? Nira nodded slowly. It linked with you. Elara's skin crawled. What do you people want from me? The same thing you do, Nira said softly. Answers. For a long moment, silence filled the room, thick and charged. Then Elara whispered, You believe in the myth, don't you? Nira didn't answer, but her eyes said enough. "The light of the first sky," Elara murmured. "It was real." Nira finally spoke. "It was more than real. It was the foundation." Every major civilization that rose to prominence, Sumer, Egypt, the Olmecs, they all referenced it under different names. They didn't build power, they found it. Elara's thought spun. "And the Eternum Division?" "Founded after World War II," Nira said. "The U.S. government discovered fragments of an energy signature in the desert, the same place you were found. They built this facility to understand it." "And Hale?" Nira's lips thinned. "He's not a scientist. He's control. He ensures results align with objectives. He doesn't care about understanding, only weaponizing." Elara's stomach turned. "So what happens to me now?" Nira's voice dropped. "They'll test your resonance. Try to replicate the connection. If they can't, they'll dissect it." Elara's blood ran cold. "You mean me?" Nira didn't answer. The hum of the machines deepened again, as if the room itself were listening. Elara's voice hardened. "Help me." Nira stepped back. "I can't." "You can," Elara pressed. "You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to." Nira's jaw clenched. For a second, she looked at the floor. Then she moved toward a control panel by the bed and tapped in a command. The cuffs released with a metallic snap. Elara sat up instantly, rubbing her wrists. "Listen carefully," Nira said, her voice low. "You have maybe 5 minutes before Hale Systems flag the restraint failure. There's a ventilation shaft behind that wall panel. It leads to the observation level. Don't try to run yet. Just see what you're dealing with." Elara blinked. "Why are you doing this?" "Because," Nira said, "I've seen what the light does to people. And you might be the only one it hasn't destroyed yet." The door hissed again. Nira straightened instantly, snapping the cuffs back over Elara's wrists just as Hale entered. He glanced between them. "Everything in order, Dr. Kale?" Nira nodded, composed. "Routine neural scan." "Good," Hale said. "Prepare her for transfer. Phase 2 begins tonight." "Phase 2?" Elara asked. Hale's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Integration." He left without another word. The door sealed. Nira whispered, "Go. Now." Elara waited until Nira was gone before she slid off the bed. Her muscles ached, but adrenaline burned away the weakness. She crossed to the wall, found the panel Nira mentioned, and pried it loose. A metal shaft yawned behind it, cold, narrow, and steep. She climbed in. The metal vibrated faintly with the hum of the facility. The deeper she crawled, the louder the sound became, not mechanical anymore, but rhythmic, alive. She reached a vent and peered through the slats. Below her stretched a cavernous room lined with glass chambers. Inside each one, people. Men and women in white suits, lying on metallic slabs, eyes closed. Blue light pulsed under their skin. Elara's stomach twisted. The light. It was inside them. She watched as technicians monitored readings on transparent displays. One of the subjects convulsed. The light under his skin flared blindingly bright, then vanished. His vitals flatlined. A voice spoke over the intercom. Calm, detached. Subject 14 failed synchronization. Dispose of remains. A robotic arm extended from the ceiling, covering the body with a black sheet. Elara pressed a hand over her mouth. They were trying to recreate the connection, forcing it, and killing people in the process. Then she saw him. At the far end of the room, Hale stood beside a glass chamber unlike the others, larger, reinforced. Inside it floated the artifact. It pulsed with that same impossible light. And when it pulsed, Elara felt it, in her chest. The same heartbeat. The same rhythm. The light was calling her. She backed away, trembling. The vent groaned beneath her weight. Clang. Every head in the lab turned. Hale looked up. His eyes locked on the vent. Elara froze. He smiled. "Hello again, Dr. Voss." Alarms erupted. Red lights bathed the corridor. Elara bolted through the shaft, crawling upward as shouts echoed below. "Contain her!" Hale barked. She's bonded. Don't let her reach the core. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to move. Up ahead, the shaft split in two. One path glowed faintly red from warning lights. The other descended into darkness. She chose the dark. The hum grew louder, deeper, vibrating through her bones. It wasn't the machines. It was the light, whispering, "Remember us. Remember the truth buried beneath the sand." Elara Voss. Hale's voice thundered through the speaker system. "You can't run from it. It's part of you now." She gritted her teeth, crawling faster, the whispers blending with the alarms. The shaft ended abruptly in a grated opening. Through it, she saw something vast, a chamber of stone, half-excavated, half-engineered. Ancient carvings covered the walls, lit by flickering halogen lamps. And in the center of the room, buried halfway in the earth, was a massive circular seal. The same emblem from the tablet. The iris. The light's resting place. Elara's breath caught. Whatever this facility was built on, it wasn't a lab. It was a tomb.